Consumer confidence ticked slightly lower in August amid growing concerns about the labor market, while still 12-month inflation expectations climbed higher after 3 straight months of declines, she tried to say. Joining me to discuss is Steve Odland, CEO of the Conference Board. He's also a CNBC contributor. Steve, look, I know it ticked down a little bit, but by and large, the consumer is really holding up despite all of these headwinds in their face. Do you agree?
Yeah, these are really tiny ticks. I mean, it's been pretty constant here over the past several months, bouncing around a little bit. You do see some less positivity among younger consumers, but you'd see more positivity among the older consumers. Net, consumers are in neutral, and they're all waiting for the tariff situation to resolve itself. And inflation is still weighing on people, groceries and gas, some of the things that are everyday pocketbook items. So it would behoove the administration here to get these trade deals done, to create some certainty, provide that for consumers. By the way, it's also true of CEOs. CEO confidence is also stuck in neutral here, waiting for this uncertainty to lift, to understand what their costs are going to be and where inflation is going. So all of this points to, please get this done.
You know what, I do find it very interesting to your point about sort of the younger consumers potentially being a little bit more negative, more pessimistic about where things are going. And I was thinking about it, it sort of points to the 35 and under. So let's say someone born in maybe 1990 or after. And if you think about it, they were, about 10 years old when we saw the tech bubble bursting. And then there was 9/11. And then maybe right around the time they were entering the workforce, we had the financial crisis coming about, and then the housing market crash. So then if they wanted to afford a home afterwards, when we saw the rebound in the pandemic, it was much harder. I mean, I'm just wondering if all of those influence sort of play on the way that they see the economic environment for themselves, because it was so impactful in those early years.
Well, look, they're our least experienced consumers, and there's been a lot of black swan events,
right.
in their
But also,
lifetime.
look how valuable they are in their earning years, right?
Yeah, that's right. But they have the least wealth, too. So if you've got a lot of wealth and, you're covered, you don't worry about it as much. It's always true among the younger consumers. But that's a relevant base. They're, getting to be a big chunk of employees and certainly a voting base.
It is very interesting when we've been talking a lot about the soft data versus the hard data. And in this report, the consumers sort of look at their personal financial situation and say things are okay. But their expectations of a recession keeps ticking higher. What do you make of that?
Well, it comes back to, where's inflation going, and when are interest rates going to come down? We were just talking about the Fed a moment ago. And as long as they stay high, the housing market's in neutral, that then becomes, inaccessible for a lot of these younger consumers. So it just goes on. And the uncertainty here creates a pall over the economy. And it is reducing growth. So I think we've got to get to a more normalized situation with interest rates, with tariffs, with costs, so that we can then get back to business. And then the growth will pick up, and I think confidence will as well.
But speaking of the tariffs, it's also interesting that the purchasing intentions for cars rose in August, both new and used. And we know that car prices are seeing pressures from tariffs. And we also already saw some strength. So what do you make of that? That's a very big purchase decision for someone that might be a little uncertain about what the economy is bringing and the price of a car.
Well, I used to be the CEO of AutoZone. What we learn constantly is that cars are a tool, and you need an automobile that's working reliably in order to get to school, in order to get to work. So it's not necessarily viewed as a luxury item. It's viewed as something that is absolutely required in order to carry on their daily lives. And so, when they come to an end of life on these cars, and the age of cars is the highest it's ever been, and you've got end of leases and so forth, you do see a pent-up demand here.